Hi, I'm Bronte. I'm a student at Marcellus, and this semester I conducted an independent study. I learned about the phosphorus removal system that just began this year in the wastewater treatment plant at Marcellus, and I got to conduct some samples with them. I'd like to pursue a career in oceanography, so learning more about water quality has been really interesting. So the upstream samples are taken south of the treatment plant near the entrance to the high school, and the downstream samples are taken north of the treatment plant. For each location, a dissolved oxygen analyzer probe is tossed into the flowing water and left a few minutes to read. While that's reading, 2 bottles are filled that are then sent to a lab to be tested for total J-dol nitrogen, which is the total concentration of organic nitrogen and ammonia. It's also tested for ammonia itself, phosphorus, which I focused on, and total dissolved solids. From the results of the tests that I received, I made 2 charts. They both have the same data, but are shown in different ways. So they lay out the amount of phosphorus in the 9 Mile Creek upstream and downstream of the treatment plant for the past 3 years. The blue represents upstream and the red represents downstream. So each cluster of dots on the scatter plot to the left is one disinfection season. The stream samples start in May, and there's one per month until October, which is the end of the disinfection season. Besides phosphorus as a naturally occurring nutrient, sources of phosphorus are bank erosion, wastewater treatment plants, runoff from fertilized land, and a bunch of others that I won't name now. The Valley of Marcellus is surrounded by farms, and it's likely that a large amount of the fertilizer makes its way into the creek, anywhere from the source at the north end of Atisco Lake or the outlet at Onondaga Lake. Historically, the early samples in April and May are lower than the samples in October. You can see the curve as it goes up in the bottom left graph. The phosphorus levels gradually increase, and the sample from this May is already significantly lower than the previous samples. The downstream sample is only 0.003 of a milligram per liter higher than the upstream sample, which is almost negligible. The plant upgrade is already showing improvement because the goal is to create the least disturbance to the ecosystem as possible. I had the opportunity to get a close-up look at the liquid from the aeration tank through this microscope. It is difficult to see, but inside the white oval there's a live organism. When I was looking into the microscope, I could see it moving around and it looked like it was eating something. And the plant operators told me a happy bug is a happy plant. So they really focus on keeping the bugs happy and they monitor them throughout the season. The process of removing phosphorus with polyaluminum chloride begins at the aeration tank. The picture on the left is the mixer in the aeration tank, and the polyaluminum chloride is poured in here as the sewage flows into the secondary clarifiers, where it settles. The beaker on the right holds a sample from the liquid in the aeration tank. You can see it has settled, and as it would in the secondary clarifiers, the clear is at the top and the sludge goes down to the bottom. The polyaluminum chloride attaches to the sludge, and it also makes the phosphorus attached to it. So when the sludge goes to the bottom, it goes back into the digesters, which further processes it, while the clear goes into the UV light systems. The diagram on the left lays out the aeration tank, secondary clarifiers, and digester. In the aeration tank, organisms feed on organic matter in an oxygen-rich environment. There are bubbles that come up and that keeps the oxygen flowing through the sludge. In the diagram to the left, it lays out the aeration tank, secondary clarifiers, and digester. In the aeration tank, the organisms feed on organic matter in an oxygen-rich environment. The sludge that settles in the secondary clarifiers then goes to the digesters to be further processed. The polyaluminum chloride leaves with the sludge, taking the phosphorus with it. The top right photo is an aerial view of the plant in 2015. When it's compared to the layout of the upgrade on the bottom right, you can see where the secondary clarifiers, which are the red circles, have been installed to the left. Their aeration tank is outlined in blue and the UV light systems in orange. Once the water flows through the UV channel, it goes into the creek. The UV light system channel inactivates any pathogens that might be present in the water before it flows into the creek. If you have any questions, please refer to the newsletter that is available. It explains the journey of the Marcellus Sewage Treatment Plant to complete the upgrade. It has created a safer environment for the workers of the plant, the community of Marcellus, and the environment. I'd like to thank everyone who has helped me, and thank you for watching.